Good morning and welcome back to the Morning Commute with Hopi Living in the City. It is a beautiful Monday morning and we're at a cool 65 degrees here in the valley. Traffic's got little empty pockets here and there, but for the most part it's normal traffic. So I hope everyone had a great weekend. Enjoyed your cool weather in the morning and hot weather in the afternoon. Let's go see what's going on over here. We got a tailgater at 12 o'clock. He or she must not realize that the carpool lane is open until 9 a.m. But to each their own. And we all know that the Randy's Donut Shop doesn't open until 7, so we will not be stopping there today. I didn't bring any breakfast. I just had a cup of coffee earlier and I got one for the road. My first cup was the holiday blend and that's pretty good. We noticed they were in stock last week over at Sam's Club. And my second cup is a breakfast blend. Excuse me. I just packed some water and soda and some crackers for my snack. Yesterday my youngest made chicken shawarma for the first time and it was pretty good success. His band members loved it, family members loved it. And then for the birthday dinner I made taco bowls, tacos, tostadas, and refried beans. I didn't make any rice, but it was good. We all ate good. And then we had the birthday cake, which was a double strawberry tres leche cake. Really, that was good. So let's go see what's happening on the news today. Hopefully it's some good news.
Here's the first thing she asks him.
How are you going to get rid of the homeless? We're going to get them into shelter, we're going to get them bus tickets home, and then we're going to get those that are suffering on our streets, we're going to get them into mental health and drug treatment beds. We have the money, we have the resources, we just need to spend it well. The city wasted so billions. That's why I'm running.
You hear this over and over again, in polls and directly from voters, that homelessness is a top issue in this mayoral election. All of the leading candidates for mayor in this deep blue city are Democrats, and all of them have made homelessness a central part of their platforms. But there's a range in what they say should be done, and how they're saying it.
We are doing everything we can to make sure that people are so uncomfortable that they take us up on our offer to go indoors.
That's incumbent Mayor London Breed. For years, she's been criticized for not doing enough to fix homelessness. But since August, she's directed police to issue more citations and arrest people sleeping in tents and on sidewalks who refuse offers of temporary shelter. Breed has also expanded affordable housing and increased shelter capacity by nearly 70%. But in her campaigning, she's been more focused on the, quote, aggressive efforts the city will take to move homeless people.
And so if we have people who are declining on multiple occasions, police can actually help us enforce some of the sit, lie, and camping laws.
One of her top challengers has been similarly focused on policing homelessness. Mark Farrell is a former interim mayor and city supervisor.
When I was mayor, we treated people with compassion and respect, offered them shelter and housing. But if they said no, we took their tents away.
Like Breed, he's advocating for more shelter and affordable housing, but is proposing going even further in policing, like bringing in the National Guard to help clear encampments, especially where there's drug use. of shelter beds shy from meeting demand on a given day, and it's behind on a mandate by the state to build at least 46,000 more affordable housing units. Homeless advocates say all the sweeps do is destabilize people, and Breed's progressive opponents have pointed this out.
They just talk about sweeps, which have been proven to be ineffective.
That's Supervisor Aaron Peskin. He says he's gotten more calls about homelessness since Breed's crackdown because it's just moved people around to different neighborhoods. When talking to voters, he's putting emphasis on strengthening behavioral health care, funding more shelters, and expanding rent control.
Preventing additional homelessness by making sure that we stop evictions and build more affordable housing.
Back at the night market, Diane Lee says she's been leaning toward voting for Mark Farrell, but was intrigued by what candidate Daniel Lurie had to say.
So still undecided, it sounds like.
Still undecided. She said street conditions have actually felt a little better recently, but she's not convinced the city's on the right track just yet. For NPR, I'm Sydney Johnson in San Francisco.
This is NPR News. And from San Francisco here to Phoenix, Morning Edition on KJSEZ. We'll have the Marketplace Morning Report coming up in about 10 minutes in a time of increasing polarization. The Marketplace Morning Report looking at how
care that has some parents questioning if it's worth it to work outside the home. The study also found that post-COVID, daycare centers are still struggling with staffing shortages. All of our top stories are just 15 minutes away. For more news, go to KTAR.com or the KTAR News app.
Here's Mark Jeffrey in for John Roller in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
Yeah, Jim, big problem. 202 Red Mountain westbound, west of Scottsdale Road. Right lanes are blocked by construction barricades and an injury accident. Got almost a 2-mile backup now. More traffic's adding to the tail end of this backup. So 202 Red Mountain westbound. Once you get west of McClintock, it's going to get pretty tough. We're going to take surface streets like University to the south or McDowell to the north to get around this mess on the 202 Red Mountain westbound, just west of Scottsdale Road. Mark Jeffrey, KTAR News.
Mostly sunny and 92 today and 75 tomorrow. That's because overnight, yeah, we have a 30% chance of rain. How cool is that? Right now it is 60 degrees in Anthem, and weather's brought to you by Howard Air. Weather replace or repair, call Howard Air.
Arizona votes. Okay, I thought we could take a few minutes here to talk about all of the ballot initiatives and ballot referendums that have ended up as propositions on the Arizona ballot. And there are a huge number of these, but I thought we'd first start with, I know this is something that you learned as a Arizona school kid, Jamie, a few years ago, the difference between an initiative and a referendum. So ballot propositions come in two different forms. You got the referendums and the initiatives. And referendums are referred by the legislature, essentially turning voters into legislators in the sense that we create the laws instead of the legislature, and we also bypass the governor's signature or veto with ballot referendums.
And then there's the proposition that makes its way onto the ballot as an initiative initiated by the residents of Arizona by gathering the signatures of their fellow Arizona voters to put a proposition on the ballot.
All you've probably thought about is that an initiative or is that a referendum? You probably haven't thought that. You've just looked at your ballot and you said, my gosh, there's a huge number of them to sort through here. It's why so many people overseeing elections have encouraged you to vote early, because they know that this long ballot could cause some really long lines on elections.
Especially for people that are going into the polling place and they're like, they don't know what they're going to vote for till they get in there, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I have no idea what this means, okay?
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of
just skip it, right?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people, they know who they're going to vote for, but when it comes to the ballot props, they don't know what they're going to vote for.
Some of them are pretty important, I have to tell you. We thought we'd take a look at some of them for you. 134, this is a ballot prop that is going to change the way ballot propositions make it onto the ballot. So if it passes, it would amend the state constitution and create sort of an electoral college for statewide voter initiatives. It would make it harder for them to reach the ballot. Actually, a certain percentage of voters from each legislative district would have to sign petitions in order to get it on the ballot.
Yeah, the way it is now, it's just a certain percentage of all voters in the state, and now they're going to have to go to specific legislative districts to get the percentage of signatures. Then you got Prop 136. This is also a ballot proposition that will change the way ballot propositions end up on the ballot, and if it passes, Lawsuits challenging the constitutionality of a voter initiative could be filed at least 100 days before the election. Currently, such challenges typically can only be brought after a ballot measure has been approved.
So, yeah, any challenges to the prop? I mean, would you rather have that decided before it actually makes it onto the ballot, right?
Well, before it actually ends up, the signatures are approved.
Right.
Yeah, and you know, my wife and I were talking about this one specific one, and I said, you know, what this does is it gives the average person more time to say, I don't think this actually belongs on the ballot. But I also know it gives more time to political groups to say, I don't think this belongs on the ballot.
All right, let's take a look at Prop 133, the state primary election system. And if it passes, it would require partisan primary elections for the selection of general election candidates. So basically, it maintains the current system.
Right, and you've heard us talking about Prop 140, which could lead to would lead to open primaries that independents could vote on, and then it could lead to ranked choice voting, which is whoever, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican or a Libertarian, whoever the two biggest vote getters or three biggest vote getters in a primary would end up on the general election. That's Prop 140. So
is that the one where state lawmakers would have a decision in who actually ends up on the ballot? Which case?
Yes, it's a little confusing, but
it is.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah. So, but here's what's interesting. So you got Prop 133 and Prop 140, which are essentially running afoul of each other. Right? So Prop 133 says, let's keep the state primary election system the way it is. Prop 140 says, let's change that. What happens if both are approved?
Well, why do we need 140 then? If 133 fails, it would stay the same as it is, right?
Yeah, it would seem to be but I think what it does is it actually amends the state constitution so that this might not be a possibility in the future.
Okay.
Right. So if 140 and 133 both pass, only the one with the most yes votes will go into effect.
So Prop 135, which is about the governor's emergency powers, if it passes, it would automatically terminate a governor's state of emergency powers after 30 days, unless lawmakers extend it, except when the emergency is related to war, fire, or flood.
Yeah, and this goes back to COVID, and a lot of people were not happy with the fact that then Governor Ducey kept COVID restrictions. Well, actually, he didn't keep a lot of COVID restrictions in place. What he did do, though, is he actually kept his emergency powers in place for almost 2 years. There are so many other ones. We can't get to them, but we do have an Arizona voter guide that's specifically about the ballot measures, and you can find that at ktar.com. In fact, last time I checked, let me check again. I think it was on the very front page of ktar.com. Yes, it still is. It's still there. So maybe keep that by your side as you vote your ballot in your, at your kitchen table, or if you decide to go in, maybe carry that along with you.
And speaking of voting, coming up in just moments, an interesting dilemma when it comes to the presidential race and who will have access to top secret documents.
Right now, it's Mark Jeffrey. This is not top secret. This is public info. How to get to work on time. He's in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
Yeah, we want everybody to know, Jim, that the 202 is still a mess. The Red Mountain westbound, just west of Scottsdale Road over towards Priest Drive. The right lanes are blocked for construction barricades that have been set up for weekend construction. UDOT's picking those up. But we also have an entry accident blocking the right lane of the 202 westbound over near Priest Drive. As I recommended folks get alternate routes, well, they are. And so now the 60's overloaded westbound from Mill Avenue over towards I-10. Entry accident blocking 99th Avenue Indian School line avoided. Fender right side.
All right, everyone, you have a great day. Let's make it a productive one, and we'll see you this afternoon.